Hello, I'm Susan Elliott, the news editor of Musical America. Today we're going to be speaking with Daniel Froschauer. Daniel is the chairman and first violinist of the Vienna Philharmonic. The Philharmonic was the first orchestra to return to the concert hall since the pandemic and the first to tour internationally. Daniel's going to tell us a little bit about both.
Hello.
Hello, Daniel. Thank you for joining us. This is really wonderful of you to do this.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're interested to find out how you and your colleagues have been dealing with the pandemic, and especially considering that you were probably the very first orchestra to go back into the concert hall. So when did you first return to the Musikverein?
Okay, we started performing again maybe on June 2nd or June 3rd. We played Daniel Barenboim, we played a Mozart Piano Concerto 595, B flat major, and we played Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. The next thing in May, the cases in Vienna went way down. And people in my orchestra kept calling me and said, Daniel, we have to do something. We need an artistic vision. We want to play. So I called our prime minister and I said, this is what we feel we want to play. But at that time, the soccer matches started again and people could play soccer. They were allowed. So many musicians thought here, well, why can't we play when soccer is allowed? And I said to him, why can they play and we cannot? He's okay. Please let me take this on top of my priority list and let's talk again next week. And we talked next week and there he said, you can play again in June. At first just for 100 people, in July for 250, and in August with a prevention concept up to 1,000 people. And so the whole world was looking at us, how we could play concert in the beginning of June. And we had 8 concerts. We had 3 with Daniel Barenboim, we had 2 with Muti, and another 3 with Franz Welser-Möst.
And were you playing socially distanced on stage or not?
No, we had a prevention concept of our own, and we said we would all have PCR tests when we perform. So we would enter the stage with masks, but in order to play, we would take off the mask, but we play in our normal distances because we felt that if we sit far apart, we cannot keep the kind of sound that people are used to, you know, that the Vienna Philharmonic defines itself by sound, that the quality of sound. We felt if we sit 2 meters apart from each other, we cannot keep that sound. And consequently, people will hear us, they will say, wow, something happened to the sound. And this we really didn't want. We said, we want to play, we will take tests. And even every day, if we have to, we are very careful with socially distancing behind the stage. Also changing, no changes here at the Musikverein, change at home and come to the concert and play. But this was important to us and it worked. I may remind you that in Salzburg, the Salzburg Festival sold 76,000 tickets, that our orchestra had 750 COVID tests, and 750, we are 148, and we had in Salzburg 5 tests. So altogether it was 750, and they were all negative. And so we had a really good summer. So we hoped that when we go into September, things would start getting more normal, but unfortunately a second wave came to Europe, and right now we experience high numbers, and although we are in a partial lockdown, but it's very hard. Nevertheless,
are you still playing now?
Yes, we're still playing now. We just this week we had a production with Zubin Mehta. We are allowed to play, we are allowed to stream, but we cannot have an audience.
So tell me about the tour to Japan. That was all very last minute, and someone tested positive, and so you weren't going to go, and then you were going to go, and what happened?
The tour to Japan, that's I will never forget this. It seemed to me overall, if I look back now, that the closer we got to the tour, that the more difficult it got, and it topped by November 2nd. First of all, it was very difficult to get the politicians to believe in this, that a tour like this would have a bilateral positive effect on the relations of Austria to Japan. But again, our prime minister thought that's a very good idea. He wrote to the prime minister in Japan, and they agreed that it would be a great sign of hope that if the Vienna Philharmonic would come and share our tradition with our Japanese audiences. Then we went through we offered our own prevention concept that included that we needed our own airplane to go. Everybody would be tested on the plane. When we entered Japan in Fukuoka, everybody had a PCR test. Of course, in Japan, we were in quarantine. We could not go outside. We could not meet people outside. So it was a true hardship for every member, But nevertheless, it was one of the greatest experience for me, because the thankfulness of the audience that we came and we did all of this was a feeling that I've never experienced before. 3 days before the tour started, we had an antigen test, so a quick test. So they looked, and everybody was fine. And the day before we left, that was November 2nd, we had a PCR test, and we have had many tests, but we had one person positive. And this one person was in a pool of 4 tests. So we knew 4 members. One of them had the virus. So we had to leave altogether 5 violists in Vienna. But when we do a trip, we usually have 2 extra people. We have one for the first violin and one for the second violin. So I asked these 2, I said, would you mind playing viola on this tour? And they said, no, not at all. We will do it. No problem. And, we had hard pieces. We had La Mea, and that's not easy, the viola, but they did a fantastic job. And, the amazing thing was the spirit, because the more difficult it got, the more we said, okay, we can overcome the difficulty. And what else? On the 2nd of November, we had these vicious terror attacks in Vienna. That was in the evening.
Oh,
so
that's right.
And then something else, one more thing happened, that we took ANA to Fukuoka. We flew directly to Fukuoka, and there we had a test. And this test was supposed to last 90 minutes for the result. And so it was 90 minutes, it got to 2 hours, it got 2 hours and a half. We were moved out of the room, and I thought, oh no, well, what happens? I mean, this would have affected.
Are you in Vienna at this point, or are you in Japan?
No, waiting in Fukuoka at the airport to get the test
result.
Oh,
you're at the airport waiting to take off.
Airport, waiting for the result, and nothing happened. So after 3 hours, the Austrian ambassador called me and said, Daniel, everybody is negative. When I met the Austrian ambassador, Dr. Bertagnoli in Fukuoka, she came to meet us at the airport. She said, Mr. Froschauer, it's a miracle you came to Japan. And that described the situation we musicians felt. And although I must say, we went through a lot of hardship, but the result being thanked so much by an audience, the feeling, and it's the people were not allowed to shout, bravo, so they came with this rope transparents. They would say, thank you, Vienna Philharmonic, coming to Japan. It was so cute, and it was a real experience.
Was the audience completely full, or was it distanced?
No, they were completely full. They sold all the seats, but you have to be aware that Japanese audiences are very disciplined.
When you came back from Japan, you went to what, 4 cities over there?
We started in Fukuoka. We went to Osaka by train. They locked off the cars from the Shinkansen. We had 2 cars, so they locked our doors and nobody could pass through. I mean, they really went through a lot to provide the health security, you know, to
Sure, yes. Tell me about what goes on in the opera. I gather that the Staatsoper is still presenting live performances. And what about in the pit at the Opera House? Are you all right next to each other again, or what?
Yes, we are all right next to each other. We have 2 times a week. We have an antigen test, and I think looking at other countries, looking in America, I think we are very lucky and fortunate and privileged to have this chance. If I think about the situation at the Metropolitan Opera, that's truly for me difficult and tragic, because that's a great opera house with a great orchestra, and for them to be locked for such a long time, I don't understand that. I must say, American politicians don't take responsibility for these great cultural temples, you can say.
We all agree with you. It is tragic. It's the only way to describe it. But also we do have the union situation, which is so completely different from the way that the Vienna Phil operates, because you are yourselves the governing body, right?
That's my advice to American orchestras would be self-govern and try. You know, it's a different feeling, because, you know, if we decide to do a New Year's concert with Maestro Muti, you know, people are going to be upset with me if that's not a great concert. So I will try everything that this will be a great, my responsibility.
So tell me what it felt like to be back in the Musikverein when you all were playing for the first time together.
Okay. Well, we knew that we are going to have a rehearsal with Daniel Barenboim. And we knew we were going to rehearse Beethoven Fifth Symphony. So I'm sure all musicians listening to this will know that the beginning of the Beethoven Fifth Symphony is a little bit tricky to start together, you know, like ba, 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 that can easily go, you know. And I thought, oh my God, what's going to happen if we start and it's not together? You know, because then immediately insecurity starts around it, and then people are high alert and we do it again or something. So I was like, how is this going to be? Is it going? Where are we standing artistically? Maestro Barenboim was so kind and so smart, and had such a brilliant feeling for the situation that he started with the last movement, with the introduction to the last movement. And we started playing it, and it was easy, and everybody regained the confidence immediately. And we played the last move, and everybody felt really strong. And then we did the first movement, but then nobody was nervous again. I must say the feeling, and to me, the music has become so much more emotional, because, you know, if you work at an opera orchestra and you work in the Vienna Philharmonic, and you play the big pieces, a Mahler symphony, and then you go and play a Tristan in the evening, you're so exposed to so much incredible music, and all of a sudden this is down to nothing. You know, of course, you practice your Bach, and you practice this and that, and you listen, but to play again, and at the concert when Maestro Barenboim played, you felt every harmonic nuance so strong. You felt such emotion, and you reacted, your body reacted so strong to this incredible music. It was like a healing. It was like your soul is being healed from this abstinence of exposure to great art and music. So and what I feel more than every moment before in my performing life is that how much an audience is involved in a great performance. Because, you know, I see the conductor great happens, I feel the audience, and this, you experience music together.
Yes.
Rather than play for you and you enjoy this. No, it's all together, and the audience takes a very active part in the performance. So.
Yes. Well, yeah, let's hope that we will all be back in the concert hall as soon as possible. In the meantime, you all are continuing to perform, even though you don't necessarily have an audience with you. You're screaming to an empty house, but you're still performing, which is wonderful, and so much more than what we can do over here. So we're all very jealous.
Yeah, but you're gonna have the vaccination sooner than we do, so then hopefully that you will, maybe then you're gonna have your nose ahead, and American orchestras will be performing already. And no,
I don't think so. I don't think so. Do you have any advice for other performing arts organizations?
if I have an advice, I would say never to let a situation let you become hopeless, or that you think, oh, it doesn't matter. Even the musicians at the Met right now, that this is just a period of time. They have to go through this, and they will come out again strong, because they're great musicians. And when our orchestra couldn't play at all, I knew that at the end, because our attitude is, what can we do for the others? How can we help the situation? That this attitude will make you strong. And in America, I think it would be really important that somebody takes the charge. I don't know, Carnegie or somebody says, okay, we do this, and then we'll follow. And we are all in the music business, and we all nurture from each other. It's not like we do everything, everybody follows. No, we see they do this, they do this, that works, we can do this. And together, the feeling of being together, I think that's the most important thing, and not to think it's the end.
So once again, thank you very, very much for talking with us. And I hope you continue to stay healthy and continue to play.
Thank you. Same to you, and a happy new year. And I'm sure the 2021 will be good again.